I know. Oh, there we go. We're recording.
All right, then I guess that means it's official. And I saw Linda on. Yay, Linda, thanks for taking our notes. I don't know, maybe you
Holy
can
cow.
do this. I can see you in my left-hand corner if we need to recapture something. So maybe I should turn so I can see you. All right.
31, 32. It can go live to Facebook. Yep, 32, 33 with you. I'm not a member. So we
Are
have
you
30.
counting?
We have 33 in-house.
Which means we actually have a quorum.
And we have one. You guys online, if you can tell me by raising your hand how many people you have in your household that we need to be counting. So if it's just you, what? Yeah, there we go. Oh, I knew. See, I saw webs and I'm like, I'll bet there's 2 people there. So what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Carol, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Is it Chrissy and Nancy? 2. Yep, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Oh, she's not a member. 22, 23. I got 2 screens here.
The Hughes are theirs too.
3, 20. 4, 25. Okay, you're good. 26 online. So we needed 23 and a half. We have 235 members. So, and we're 10% at a quorum. So it looks like we're well over, we're at 59. So, yep, thank you all.
Right, this is a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
One-shot deal. Well, welcome everyone. I wanted to call to order the 272nd annual meeting of First Parish, and wanted to thank you all for your patience ahead of time as we toggle between what's happening live here in the sanctuary and what's also live but virtual. So we want to make sure we have participation from both folks here and online. I think I'll just read my report and we'll go through some thank yous throughout our agenda today.
I have to do my how-to.
Oh,
Yes.
Christine will do her how
Okay,
to.
this is how to do this together. So this is both for in-house or in this house, the church house, and in your own houses kind of thing. So if you are in the sanctuary, we have to have, and you want to speak, you must use the handheld mic. Not only we need to hear you, but this is the only way for people online is to hear you through a microphone. So just wait for me to and we'll get that to you.
Yeah.
We're going to do hand votes for everyone. We usually do voice votes, but that's just not possible online. So what we'll do is just hand votes, but we're not going to, unless somebody asks for a division of the house, that's where you have to count the hand votes. We're just going to do it by visual. How is what you'd usually do a voice vote for, you do it by your ear. So we'll do that. Unless somebody wants a specific count for something, then we'll count. So online, if you can, well, and in-house too, if you can raise your hand and leave it up so we can get a good sense of who's on. Yeah, we've got more than 59 people here because I'm seeing some people I didn't count before. So, okay, good. When we have to have people vote, everybody, you're going to have to hold your hands up for a while. Okay, so do this or something like that. Zoom down. I hope that meant I'm just praying Zoom doesn't go down anyway. And we'll check in with Linda Sanborn each time just to make sure things are going well. And we need 2/3 of vote for
The budget.
the budget. There you go. Okay, that's when we'll have to, well, we'll do it visual first and see if we have to count. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? What we'll do is if you do have a question, can you type it in the chat? I see you, Linda Webb, and we'll just wait.
Can you hear me?
Okay. It feeds back if we let that up. So.
Okay.
You just nodded at Linda, so I don't know what her question was.
Okay.
Okay.
You typing it in the chat.
Are you seeing anything? Oh, she's got to hit send for us to see it. What I probably should do is like call somebody. Where's my phone? I should call Linda Sanborn and just, we didn't think about that. There's always one thing you don't think of. Linda, are you set yet or are you still typing?
Still typing.
Oh, well, just a second. Okay, we're going to wait till that. It's going to be a bit pausey. Have another snack, you know. Recents, Linda.
Not Linda Webb, Linda Sanborn will be taking notes.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, thank
You're
you.
good, Linda. Off the hook.
oh no, sorry. Yeah. It's like when we go to do the solar panels, we had 3 Johns we were all referring to at the same time. So no.
Yeah,
Linda
you're
S,
good.
Linda Sanborn.
Right. You
Okay.
can take a deep breath now.
Yeah,
I
poor
saw that
Linda
sigh
Webb.
of relief.
And Linda
Okay.
Webb, thank you for taking the minutes last week. That's what Linda is, or last year. That's what Linda's having
Yeah.
a minor moment there. So yeah, and actually that's great if people can use the chat because Naomi and I can see the chat up here. So we're good. Okay.
Excellent. Well, let us commence. So as we begin another church year and continue our transition to coexisting with COVID, I wanted us to pause, take a deep breath, maybe 3. The past 2 years have been really hard. And I would argue probably the last 9 months have been even harder. The vaccine gave us hope this time last year and a glimpse of normalcy that recoiled a bit when 2 powerful variants came last year. We've been pivoting, we've been flexible, and I'm not a gymnast. I'm tired, and that's okay. And I think you guys are too. And I just wanted to say thank you. But despite the tiredness that I think we're all feeling, our church community continues to grow. We have new families in faith exploration, and we even welcomed new members during the 2nd year of our global pandemic. We've got something really special, and I get a little misty-eyed and, talking about this.
Do you just have the document on your?
It's not a special sauce, and it's definitely not by chance. It's because of people here in the sanctuary, and it's because of our friends here on Zoom. To the staff who are here today, you've done an outstanding job. I mean, just the team here in the back, the music, it's been a lot. Not in-person staff meetings, and again, just continuing to be flexible and pivot. Every day feels like a different playbook that we're asked to implement. The worship and technology teams, you've kept us connected. To the boards and committees, everything we're doing is volunteering and voluntary and being part of this community. Thank you for continuing to participate, to be innovative, to support our community here in the church and outside of these walls. Generally, to our members, thank you for your continued engagement and dialogue in our church's vision and mission. We know the pandemic is exhausting, so let us continue to learn from each other, energize one another, and over this next year, let's continue to imagine together, weave justice into our everyday, spread kindness, and be gentle. So with that, I would like to just pause. We will turn it over to, yep.
All right. Thank you, Naomi. Let's gather together and let's pray. And as we gather, we will also be remembering those who are members, have been members of the church and have passed away this year. Let us pray together. Gracious God, in this crazy time, in this time that we didn't have much of a playbook for the details, but for the big picture we did, God. And that was community in your love. We thank you for the ways that this year has showed us how to be your community of love, with the new tools that we have, with the new strengths that we have discovered in ourselves and in each other. Thank you for your call to us and your presence with us as we live that out. God, especially on this day as we gather as this congregation of this place and time, we think of those who are no longer sitting in our midst. We think of Virginia Beagle, of Alice Keddy, of Jane Mosier, of Annie Chapman. We thank you for their lives. We thank you for the ways that they brought life to this place. And we thank you for the ways, seen and unseen, that their love for you still resonates in the work that we do. Be with us as we remember them and as we live to the fullest our lives here in this place. All this we ask in your name. Amen.
Boy, now I'm getting caught. There we go. The next item on our agenda this morning is the reading and approval of our 2021 meeting minutes.
And if anyone would like to speak, sorry, that's online, Tom reminded me, just raise your hand, speak on an issue, and I will call on you, unmute yourself, and people online will be able to hear you, and your voice will come out over the speakers into the sanctuary. So we have that ability. Okay, sorry.
So I would like to motion to dispense the reading of the minutes from the 2021 annual meeting and move forward with discussion. And then Linda, that was Carl Anderson moved and Joanne Anderson second.
They're quick. They're not even sitting together.
I got confused, you were totally separate areas. Is there any discussion or amendments necessary for the meeting minutes? If you have any online, please raise your hand.
And I moved mine to the second screen, so we should be good. I don't see any on the second screen either.
Okay. So this is where my Robert's rules really stinks. So here we'll go. A motion to approve the meeting minutes from the February 20.
That was the motion that already happened. Yep.
So I guess all in favor of the printed meeting minutes.
And online, just raise your hand. How does it look there? You'll need to put, cameras on. We're a majority. Yep. Thank you. Hands down, please.
All set, Linda. I lost Linda. Everybody keeps moving as they turn their
cameras on. Yep.
Excellent. All right, Christine, it is your report.
The report is before you in the annual report there. I think this is the short one. And I've been using this form for a couple of years now of that the three kind of big picture pieces of our life together are inviting, inclusive, and spirit-filled worship, nurturing people of all ages along their faith journeys, and then administration that I'm also responsible for. And I just want to say a special thank you to everyone who's volunteered. And, when something new has come up, we've done a lot new this year and even last year too, but this year also too. And just been willing to be a part of things and have some really great ideas. I just want to thank again what I'm calling our worship team, some of which get paid to do this. And I realize the majority, or at least half of it, does not, and makes this possible. So for John and Eric and Allie, of course, too, speaking one of our of-nots, who's a part of this, and Amy, Glennis, and Tom. What you might see them on Sunday if you're here. or see them online. Often you don't see the people in back who are running the call. What you also don't see is that we meet together. When it's time to do a new series or a new season or something, all of us meet together and talk some things out, think some things through, and I really appreciate that form of collegiality. My style is not to be the dictator from on high. I am much more a collaborator, and even though I'm the only full-time staff person that you have here, it's nice to pull volunteers and our part-time staff people together and really have that soil that's really good soil to do things from. And just the staff that you're not seeing today either. Roger was here this morning finishing up, and he and Nan chopped ice yesterday so that we could all walk into this building safely today. Thank to both of them, and for Roger for he has done a million projects that y'all don't see. It's just that things haven't gone bad because he's done a project and he's just been marvelous. And Leslie, who's really our only in-office staff person now, is constantly adapting to things that we need to do. And Carla has just been marvelous coming on and keeping us giving us a digital presence, and now actually her son that makes some of our stuff run when it won't run. So we're really pleased. And I hope I haven't forgotten anybody that we pay. Well, Julia that we've got now. Yeah, I said Amy. Yeah. Oh, and the food. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Deacons, for putting together the food too. That's marvelous. But for everyone who really does those small things that really add up together, that is what makes this a congregation together. So thank you.
So the next part of our agenda is the reports from the boards and committees. They are printed in your annual meeting, and I'm realizing the agenda and how they appear in your packet are different. So I'm going to go how they appear in your packet, just so you can easily flip if that's okay with folks. So the first report out is from the Board of Faith Exploration, and I'm not sure if Claire or Kristen are online.
I don't see the jars. Yeah. I'm two. Nope.
I don't see them on
So it's
here.
as stands.
All right. So their report is as stands. Whoops. The next is the report of the Board of Trustees. So I saw John was on line.
Yeah,
So
he
I don't
is.
know if-
John, if you just unmute yourself.
I would present it as presented.
You're on. We can hear you.
Thank you, John. So the report is as presented.
Any questions for him?
Any questions for John? All right. Thank you, John. And I just saw Terry come back in. Next is our report from the Board of Deacons.
Oh,
hold on. They're gonna.
Christy's running.
So the report for the Board of Deacons includes the fact that we are still looking for a person to fill Hal's position, which would then put us at 8. Usually we have a board of 12, but in the last couple of years, we've had a board of 8 and we've done quite well with that. And we have done a lot of things with the church, and it stands, our report stands as it is.
Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you.
Any questions for the Board of Deacons? Okay. And I have the report of the Music Committee, and I saw Cindy online.
Cindy Smith. Yep.
The report stands as written unless somebody has something I left out.
Thank you, Cindy. Oh, I see you now over here. And the report of the Board of Missions. I believe Carol I saw on. You're muted, Carol.
The report stands as written, unless there are any questions. We had a great year last year.
Any questions for Carol?
I'd just like to say, they say they had a great year last year. They led us in just a wonderful year last year. I'm on the board for Greater Portland Family Promise, and every meeting I'm at, the Janet Duncan and Carol Hardy are working with our family right now. They're just, their names are called out and saying they are just doing an amazing job with the UU Church, Allen Street, UU. And it's just, but you all have been incredibly generous too, as the sock box boxes fill up again. So thank you for your leadership, Missions Committee.
Thanks, Carol. The next report in your annual report is the report of the Finance Board. And I don't know if John Cool.
No, if you want
it's
Bill, you want Bill.
Oh, Bill's here.
Thing over here so I can say it stands as written.
We could have some, that's what you should be holding up, Ally, not rating how I'm doing, but you know.
The Olympics.
The next is the report of the Stewardship Committee, and I saw B is online.
Yes, the report stands as written. We're very grateful for all the people who managed to increase their pledges in the teeth of COVID and everything else. So thank you.
Okay. And Investment Committee. Bruce is in the back.
I didn't get to swim the other day, so now I get to run.
Yeah, our committee, the report is as it stands on page 15 in the annual report. Major accomplishment this year was transitioning from Merrill Lynch brokerage to a managed by Blackbrook Financial with our funds now with Charles Schwab.
Thank you, Bruce. Any questions for investments? Okay.
Do you see any?
I don't see any hands.
I'm going to go to page 2 here a minute just to make sure.
No comment.
Oops. Now I can see.
Okay.
Nope, I don't see any hands either. Okay.
And then report of the outreach committee. So I don't know, Christine, if you're reporting out, or Heather or Glennis, any member.
I think the report, we'll do the report as stands. You can see, I think the major piece of the outreach board was the hiring of a social media person, the hiring of Carla to really ramp that up and then just utilize utilize the logo. We've been putting that logo any place we can. So.
Thank you. Okay.
No questions. I don't see any questions. Nope. Okay.
So Christine Southern, report of the treasurer, which we may, actually, before you head there, just want to, for the next 2 agenda items, Christine will report out on FY21, and then we'll kind of close that. Or you can read her report as stands, which she may offer. And then the proposed budget for 2022, she will take us through a review, which will be on, I think it's page 18 is the budget summary that we'll be reviewing. And there will be a couple other presentations during that budget portion. And then we will do the vote on the budget for 2022. But I wanted to give Christine an opportunity to do the budget presentation for 2021 closeout. Christine, do you have anything you would like to add?
I think I would like to just let my report stand as it is, unless anybody has a question on what I wrote. I think I hit all the high points.
Any questions about 2021 before we move to the 2022 budget? Okay. think Christine Southard, would you introduce the FY22 budget and take us through the narrative and what's written on page 18?
Okay,
We should just clarify on that, what we're voting on. We as a congregation vote on the summary budget. The detailed budget is there for your information, but it's the summary budget on page 18 that the vote is about.
okay. So Christine and I spent quite a few hours hashing out the budget in an effort to have it reflect the priorities of the church, like what the mission is and what you all want to see happen. And you may be looking at it going, holy cow, $547,000 in change in expenses. What, where does that come from? And so if you look at it, a lot of it is salary, because we have Christine, of course. And then since we have no associate minister anymore, we have taken on quite a few part-time people to piece together basically an associate position. So you can see that all the personnel expenses, and that's not just salary, that's salary withholding and taxes and that kind of stuff, and workers' comp, things like that. You can look at the detailed budget, you can see everything that's outlined there. And that's 267, almost 268,000 of the 547,000. And then you can go, well, and then the next line is the trustees, and you're like, holy cow, the trustees is 200 almost $3,000. What are they doing?
I call this the whole top.
And so one of the priorities for trustees this year is, and you've read their report probably, is to put some solar panels on the roof of the new part of the building, and to put in some heat pumps, and to change the lighting over to LED so that we can be a more climate friendly church. And that they've gotten their estimates. Oh, and they want to finally get the sound system up and going. And so all of that came to $128,000-ish. And we're like, okay, well, those are all great things to do, but how are we going to pay for that? Because our budget's not going to support that. And so we put in a line called designated fundraising, which is still undetermined how we're going to raise that money, but it's in there and it shows how much we need to raise, and we need to raise it before we can do these improvements. So the finance board will be working on that. So if we can raise money, then we can do these things. And if we can't raise money, then basically the deacons budget will decrease a significant amount, and they basically are finishing the painting of the outside of the church, and that will be will cause their 203,000 to decrease by about 100,000 or better. And then you've got total office and administration expenses, and that's all the, paper and all that stuff, and computer programs that we have to pay for. Community outreach has their budget. Part of the community outreach is a Beyond Worship Plus person. They're going to cover the cost of using some of the files trust to put on a special, like, weekend long program on some kind of a topic. And So that's kind of out there waiting. So their budget looks a little bit high, but is paid for. And music and faith explorations, missions. And the fundraising expenses is basically for chicken pies and church fair type expenses. And other expenses covers the mortgage that we still have when we upgraded the bathrooms and did some office improvements. So that's how you get to 547,000 and change expenses. So then we go to income, and you'll see that's a little bit less than the expenses. I will say that total giving pledged amount is now, we estimate, excuse me, estimated 150,000. But it's now up to 151,795, so almost 152,000. So we have a little bit more income than we knew about when we printed the budget. And the designated fundraising line is included in that total fundraising of 149. And then investment income is based on a 5% withdrawal from what's now at Charles Schwab, as Bruce said. And since it's 5%, when we vote on the budget, the congregation also has to approve the 5%. And then other income, we've had a few kind of good things happen. We've rented the kitchen to a caterer for $600 or $700 a month.
600, yep.
600.
600.
And there's a homeschool group that's in on Mondays that pays $100 a week. So the building is starting to sort of pay for itself. And that's listed in other income in the specific budget. So we started off with a 27,000 deficit-ish. But we also in 2021 and 2020 managed to roll over cash of around, well, 2021, we rolled over a little over 14,000, and the year before we rolled over 15,000. So we had almost $30,000 of extra cash. So when you take, and that's mostly because our expenses were less because people weren't in the church, so the lights weren't on and the water wasn't running and the heat wasn't turned up and all those kind of things that add up. And we had the loans of the PPP money. So with that almost $30,000 of rollover, we managed to come in the positive around $4,500, which when we first looked at the budget, it was about, I don't know, 20,000 in the red. 25 in the red. So we have a positive budget, and that's actually now it's up to just over $6,000 with additional pledges. So good news. I bring you good news. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but really, like I said, the budget was meant to support the things that the church thinks is important. So
Just
questions?
what Christine is saying is when she and I sat down, one thing we said is we're not going to hide any money anywhere. We're not going to make slush funds anywhere. We're not going to, even this the thing that we did with the $100,000. So there's an expense line of 100 and there's an income line of 100. And the exec council said this is part of it, is we don't spend it unless we have it on that for the solar panels kind of thing. But that's one thing that we made very sure that we are doing. And our estimates now for expenses, because the budget's just our best guess, but are based on 2 years now of COVID. And looking back even before that too. So, our first year of COVID, we had a budget that we made before COVID, basically, so, and then when we've learned things the last 2 years. So we think we've got some good guesses. Now stuff will always come up and new ideas will come up, we know, but we really worked hard on, this is our priorities and the money present in the detail in the budget. We can tell you what that's where it all is, so.
Do we want to take questions for Christine, or does this depend on fundraising? I think Brian, hold that thought. Do we want to do the climate proposal review for those who were not?
Let's do the first, I think, set of questions are there any questions for Christine on anything except the 100 or 1,000 or so that we need to raise and do for the climate change stuff?
Maynard.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Right there. Right here.
oh, golly, yeah. Next to my computer. Stuff in my pockets. Maynard, yep.
I knew.
Thanks, Christine.
Get it nice
Can
and
you hear it?
close. Yeah, yeah.
Christine, on page 17, you made reference to
Oh, which Christine?
$35,000
The other one.
and that 34,000 is going into a future growth fund.
Yes.
Is that in the budget or is that going to the investment company?
You want me to-
That is not
What-
in the budget. What that is the money. Since we had the PPP, we did not take all of the endowment that we were authorized to take last year. So that's the remainder of the restricted funds, and it's basically going to go from the restricted funds into the designated funds in a line called Future Growth Fund.
So it'll be
Is that-
invested.
Yes.
Yes,
It
still-
stays in the.
still.
Yep. It stays in the invested funds. It becomes a new fund in the invested funds.
Which will then be taken, will returns be taken from it? Or will it be used whole at some future date?
It could be used whole at some future date. Sorry, I'm gonna do this.
Basically,
it
it will
could be
be an
used-
expendable.
Yes, it's going to be an expendable fund. Earnings that it have will go to itself.
Yeah.
Right. And then the exec council of the church, that's going to be a major expenditure, whether we use it whole or in pieces. That's a fund for just that future growth, like what's new programming that we want to start that may come in middle of the year or is a big project over a couple of years or something. And instead of putting it in 1 year budget, we could go to a fund like that and say, all right, this is what that fund could be used for. Does everyone understand that? We took what didn't get expended and put it in its own line so that it didn't just become part of the ethos again, it became its own fund.
So it's just a creative way of investing that money, mostly for a short term, which you'll use sometime in the.
We'll use eventually, right?
Yeah,
And it
but-
becomes unrestricted.
Yeah.
And it becomes unrestricted for us.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah.
That sounds good. What is the $4,000 for bookkeeping services for?
Christine, would you like to take that?
Yeah, thanks for throwing me under the bus on that one, Christine, yeah.
Just a question.
I
Just a
knew
question.
Maynard would catch that.
Yeah. That is a kind of an insurance policy for us. We're having bookkeeping services done one way right now, and it may need to be done a different way this year. And so we're allowing for some funding, some additional funding to make that happen. if needs be.
Good.
Yeah.
And finally, I just wanted to say thanks for the increase in the building and parking lot line. That's great that you were able to find some people to use the facility. We've never had that much money allocated to that line before.
Yeah.
It's good.
And if anybody can think of anybody else that needs space, let me know.
Plenty of area to social
That's,
distance.
yes, that's right. We got spaces. Anyone else? Oops. Oh, okay.
Anyone else online? All right. Probably can. Any questions? And Brian, we will get to your, I think it's related to the climate proposal question. Okay. So climate proposal, Bill?
Oh,
No?
John Miliano.
John.
John, you're up. John, we all had a practice run on this a couple Sundays ago. Some of you stayed for that. But John, will you give us an overview of the project? Amy, were you able to get that so it goes up on, you can screen share? We'll miss John when we do that, but John doesn't care. He just shook his head. I saw him. I can see you, John, just to let you know. All right, people, I know people in house, you probably have a piece of paper, that single sheet, double-sided. John, floor is yours.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, over the course of the last 2.5 years, we've looked at things that would improve our church, both economically and climate-wise. We've determined that there are 3 major things that we could do. The first being the photovoltaic solar system to produce electricity for us. The second is transitioning our heating system, which is near failure as it is now, to more energy efficient heat pumps, which incidentally also gives us a source of air conditioning for the offices for the summertime. And then the third is as was mentioned, the changeover of the fluorescent bulbs in the church and the incandescent bulbs to LEDs. Again, we went over this in the meeting that hopefully all of you were able to attend a couple of weeks ago. I guess I would be open for questions or however you want to handle it now.
Yeah. John, can you give us just a brief, I know the papers show it too, just give us a brief on what where the solar panels will be, how many will be there, and a little bit about the energy you think they'll produce and will save.
The solar panel system will be pretty much covering the south side roof of Fellowship Hall. Fellowship Hall only, nothing on the sanctuary. It will consist of 66 panels and I believe 2 inverters, which will be mounted down below. Right now, it would produce about 120% of the church's electric needs, electric use as of today. Of course, with the hopeful addition of heat pumps, those use electricity. So for the first phase, we're hoping that it will also cover the electricity use for the first heat pumps, which would cover the second floor offices and conference room and Gorham room. So it's a major solar system. It's quite a project.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. And John, can you tell your story again, the thing that you told me about what causes someone to put a system, you have a better way of saying it, you know what I want you to say.
It's been shown, it's been proven that solar electricity, especially in our area, is a good, clean form of energy that makes economic sense. The issue, of course, is that it's quite an expenditure up front. But if you look at it over the course of 8, 9, 10 years, it pays for itself, and then you get free energy from there. But what I think Christine's referring to is it's been shown that the biggest factor indicating when people look at getting solar panels installed in their house is their proximity to other people having solar panels on their houses. And I believe that if we cover that roof with solar panels, we are going to attract a whole lot of people asking us questions, finding out what we're about, hopefully investing in themselves, and then even more so, hopefully investing in us as a community and in our mission.
So yes, Cindy Smith asked the question, is Revision Energy going to do the solar panels?
At this point, they are the leader. We looked at starting, as I say, 2.5 years ago, I believe it was, Christine, you sent me a link of the 20 top solar installers in the state of Maine. From that, the trustees narrowed it down through interviews and site visits. It came down to a couple top contenders, and Revision seemed to be, in our mind, the leading candidate. So as it stands now, yes, Revision would be doing the system.
And John, can you also a little bit about the heat pumps and who you're looking at doing those?
Again, with the heat pumps, we interviewed several different contractors. All of them except one agreed that heat pumps were a viable alternative for us. One contractor who was very much tied to Maine Natural Gas really wanted to go with another natural gas boiler and new piping and new registers throughout the building that I guess they just didn't get what we were trying to achieve. And it's been determined now that Royal River Heat Pumps out of Freeport had the lowest bid and also the cleanest proposal for us. So as it stands now, they would be the contractor for the project.
Okay. And the LED lighting is we go ahead.
The LED lighting, we've been working with Burley Electric out of Gray, North Yarmouth. They've already done some work in the church, some repair work in the bathrooms and stuff that wasn't quite up to snuff. And they've been working with us through Efficiency Maine, trying to get that going. The part of the problem, the reason that's taken so long is that in the past, despite our good intentions of trying to do right, we have had fixtures replaced by I don't want to say qualified because they were probably qualified, non-licensed people changed fixtures. And that's unfortunately illegal and potentially dangerous as far as code is concerned. So there's a lot, I mean, we're not going to get all the rebate we should from Efficiency Maine had we started from scratch. So there's quite a bit of, there's still quite a bit up in the air about how much we're going to get through Efficiency Maine.
All right. Any questions? Yeah, anyone questions for John?
Questions for John online? Tom has the mic in here.
No?
I think it was it Burley Electric?
Burley Electric, yes.
Not sure how you spell it, but we'll get.
URLEIGH.
There we go. And then Brian, was your question answered that the work will only commence once the fundraising has been completed, or we'll only do the work once we have the money.
Yeah. There we
Got
go. We
it.
got a thumbs up from him.
Any questions for John? All right. Thank you, John. If you guys haven't had a chance, the meeting where John and others explained fundraising, the 3-part climate proposal, it's worth watching, listening to, just to learn a little bit more. And this won't be our last conversation about it, but recommend, it was on the church Facebook page.
Facebook
And I
page.
don't know if we could send it out in an update as well, but
Yeah,
it's
it
just a
might-
YouTube
I think
link.
it's on YouTube also. Yeah.
Excellent.
But John, hang on, because now we got to talk about the funding.
I had a question.
Oh, yep. Go ahead.
Oh, Bruce.
Yeah. John, you mentioned Efficiency Maine. On the solar panels or the heat pump, is there any engagement with Efficiency Maine, or don't they cover those items?
The heat pump is eligible for rebate from Efficiency Maine, which is Royal River has figured into they'll handle all that. Right now, Efficiency Maine is not doing anything with rebates or anything. However, it's just a matter of somehow trying to take advantage of the federal tax credits.
Okay. The other question I had was, do you know what the projected lifespan of the panels and the heat pumps will be?
Somewhere it is written, I believe as I recall, the panels, when they do PV systems, they figure a 25-year lifespan of the panels. But in fact, the lifespan is probably going to be more like 40 years.
Okay.
And then the heat pump, I don't really know if they've given us, they give us a 3-year warranty. I don't know what they're saying for the lifespan of them, but it is, I mean, it's current technology. I mean, we've had ours here at our house for 10 years now, probably, and have had no issue. So
it might be good to try to nail down the research. What does the research show about the longevity of this? Because when you talked about solar panels, 40 years, if you buy a boiler, a gas boiler, that's probably, it's going to last 20 years, maybe 30
Right.
years, maybe, and it won't be very efficient after that, up until that point. So I really support the getting a new system with what you're doing, because it's going to raise our environmental justice profile in the community. But the heating system there now is really on its very last legs. And we're going to have to replace it somehow. I mean, we're going to have to spend the money to get that whole new boiler and attachments and all that figured out. So that's going to crash at some point in the near future. We're going to have to jury rig something together. So I think getting a new system, as long as it's not in the sanctuary, because the sanctuary is a 200-year-old building, not built for heat pumps.
yeah, no.
Whereas the offices and the classrooms and the meeting rooms, that would be perfect, because it will cover both winter and summer when it can be beastly hot up on there. So I think it's a good idea, and I would support that.
He's good.
Tom has a
Oh,
question.
Tom, go for it.
John, Tom Lovett calling. Tell me if there's been any consideration for increased maintenance costs for our staff here with regard to keeping the heat pump condensers clear of snow. I don't know that there is. I just don't know that anyone has considered that.
There is very little maintenance involved. I mean, like you say, it may be a matter of in a huge snowstorm to keep them clear, but they were going to be placed such that they shouldn't be covered with snow to start with, I guess is.
Tom
Maynard?
Maynard has a question.
John, we've got the revision sheet here, and I think it shows us $61,000 of expense.
60, I think it's 68, wasn't it? I thought.
This one that I had was from August. That's the best I.
Okay,
that's the best I got.
therein lies the issue. Every,
Right.
with the cost of things,
It changes.
Going
you know, everything involved with construction, the price goes up almost weekly. So I believe the latest revision from, I think it was early December was somewhere in the 68,000 range.
There's a revision from the revision, okay.
Revision, the latest,
Right.
the latest estimate, I believe.
But the budget's asking for 128,000. You mentioned heat pumps. Is there a document on the
Yeah.
heat pumps, or do you just
Yeah.
have a verbal estimate on that?
No, we have a phase one of the heat pumps, again, as of early December was almost 20,200 for the heat pump. Again, that would be phase one, which would do the second floor offices, the main office, Christine's office, the teller room, Gorham room, and the conference room. And then the LED changeover was, we were estimating somewhere in the 20 to 25 range. And I believe, which I didn't understand at the time, that I think somehow the sound system also got looped into this, which I wasn't aware of until the start of this meeting.
So just to be clear, this entire building, including the sanctuary, will be heated? No,
Not
just
by
the
heat pumps,
addition.
no.
No,
This is
no.
phase one. This is second floor.
Okay,
Second floor of the addition. Right now, the technology is not capable of
right. I
heating
didn't-
the sanctuary.
all right, I
So
didn't think
the
so.
sanctuary is off. The goal of the trustees is to get the addition
Yeah, okay,
on heat pumps
all right. That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
and
Okay.
then cross our fingers and hope something
All right,
you
yeah,
know.
good, thank you.
comes for this.
On the climate proposal, because John, you're also going to talk, oh, Bruce, yes?
John, I had a question for you. Do you know what the projected differential is between what we're paying now for electricity and fuel and maintenance for the boiler, and what it would be after the heat pumps are and panels are installed?
In all honesty, I don't have those numbers right here in front of me. As I say, I know the payback for the panels. The yearly cost savings of the panels was going to more than account for what we're paying for electricity right now.
Right.
And then off the top of my head, I don't have.
Yeah,
those numbers.
okay.
But I know the other issue, and I think you mentioned it, is that we are literally nursing that boiler every year. I mean, we're spending, I believe, thousands of dollars every year just to keep it running, not to mention what it costs just to run it. So in maintenance, so.
Well, in around the year 2000, when we did the energy audit, we found out that we were paying something like $20,000 a year just in maintenance. And, so those things are going to be very costly to maintain. Plus, they're not energy efficient, or they're not climate friendly, shall we say. So it would be good to get an idea of what, when the heat pumps get installed and solar panels, they're going to offset the cost of maintenance and fuel. for the church. So I just wonder what the difference is or what the gap is.
We can work on generating that number too. That's just a budget number, pulling some budget lines. And
Right.
looking back, I keep knocking on the piano here. We have not called the heating guy this season yet.
You
And
should
it-
not have said
I
it
know,
out loud.
but I've been saying that for weeks, you guys. That's why I keep knocking on the piano, knocking on wood, right? Because I don't know if you remember last winter, I mean, we had both furnaces go, well, we have 3 furnaces actually, but we had the 2 here go down and the one over there. We did church a couple of times in mittens and gloves and our coats and stuff like that. And actually, one big thing we did last year was we found the right person to actually repair the boilers and fix some long-standing issues that we had. But the guy, when I asked the guy, like, how long we got, he goes, could be tomorrow, could be, you know, and I'm like, oh, please don't tell me that, you know, I'm going home. So, yeah, we did some expensive work last year, but we did some good work on it too. So, yeah.
So I think the next item on the climate proposal side is to talk a little bit about the fundraising piece.
Yep.
Excuse me, Naomi?
Uh-huh.
Hi, this is Deanne. I have my hand raised.
There you
but,
go. Sorry, I didn't see you.
No problem. I don't expect you to notice. I just have I wanted to thank the Board of Trustees for all the research related to this. And I am wondering, having explored a bit myself about roof shingle replacement, whether or not solar shingles have been considered. And a second related question is, when is the roof needing to be replaced on the new part of the church?
At this point in time, solar shingles aren't a viable alternative in terms of efficiency versus cost versus reliability for this area anyway. I know in the south there are a lot of solar tiles being used to mimic the adobe roofs or the tile roofs, but as far as we know, solar shingles are not an option. Your other point about the condition of the roof, we were, I guess, fortunate several years ago when the tornado came through and actually damaged some of the shingles on that part of the roof, and insurance paid for us to have that side of the roof reshingled. So it's actually in quite good shape, certainly good enough to put the panels on. And then the other thing is that theoretically speaking, with the panels on, it will actually extend the lifespan of the shingles.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Great question, Deanne. Any other hands up? Because I have one page left. All set? All right. John, do you want to talk a little bit about the creative fundraising?
Will you talk about the tax credits, the situation with that?
I was gonna say, not really the fundraising.
Okay.
Basically, what we've got to look at is finding, we don't have to look at it. I mean, we could, if we chose,
Thank you.
just find a way to finance the project ourselves and pay for it and move on. That said, there are federal tax credits. I believe the tax law keeps changing, but I believe it's right now it's 25% of the cost of the system that could be taken by an individual or some entity to help with the cost of the project. That said, of course, we are a non-tax-paying, tax-exempt, we're a tax-exempt organization, so we are not eligible to take the tax credits. So the way to get around that, or the way to take advantage of that, is to do what's called a power purchase agreement, where some business, LLC, whatever it may be, could set up and actually own the system. We would enter into an agreement with them to buy the power over the course of X number of years. Generally speaking, I think most of them are set up for 20 years. And then at the end of the 20 years, there'd either be a payout for us to buy the remaining value of the system, or they could donate the system to the church. So that's, in a nutshell, the tax credits.
Does everybody understand that? Because we're a nonprofit organization, we don't pay taxes. So we can't take advantage of tax credits. But they do then set up this, what did you call it again? Purchasing power?
Power purchase agreement or.
Power purchase agreement. Where either an entity like, well, a person could be that if they want the tax credits, you know, if they want to be able to do it, or a group of people could form this together, could purchase the system, and it would be here and everything. They get to take advantage of the tax credits. We pay them for the power. And we get a, you know, that's how we, because they're purchasing the system, that's how we buy the system, and then we pay them. You know, it's like we're getting a loan from them in a sense, because they're buying this on our behalf. And then we pay them over these years for the power and the system. And then we do something at the end and agreed upon. So that's what nonprofits do when they want to do something like this. And people are, there's folks out there that think a 25% tax credit is a very good thing, let me tell you. So it used to be that Revision used to take these tax credits and used to set it up, and they don't do that anymore because they don't get enough of a return off of it, we were told. So we need another either person or group of people that are interested in lightening their tax burden, shall we say. Okay. Which is all, it's all legal. It's not shady, you know, above. This is what nonprofits do. So, and the government says, yes, go ahead and do it.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, if I may, the other thing, the easiest thing is if there's a benefactor out there who just wants to make the donation. There we go. I mean, they could get the tax credit for making the donation, and the world will be a beautiful place.
Warm, you know, climate justice.
That's right.
Any questions about that?
You'll be hearing more about that. You know, we're still like, Bill.
Oh, Glennis. Tom, can you?
Represent. Oh, with that arrangement you described where someone buys the system and we pay them, does that represent additional cost to us? No? Oh,
Well,
okay.
there would be costs, legal costs involved in getting the agreement drawn up and stuff. And then, of course, however the agreement was written, I mean, whoever this person or entity may be, may not want to give us the full cost of the full benefit of the savings. They may want to take a few % off per year or whatever. But you know, that's all stuff that needs to be worked out in the agreement. It would cost more than if we did it ourselves.
Okay, thanks.
Bill. Fundraising.
Correct.
I had a question.
Go for it.
I wanted to ask John, are there examples out there of that kind of arrangement, and any feedback on the success or how that went? And would there be somebody who would help us set that arrangement up?
Yes, Revision would be willing to help us set it up. They do this all the time. There are hundreds. I mean, one of the early ones that I know of that has some local implications is I know that Moody's Body Shop actually did this years ago with the Gislin Farm Audubon Society. Moody's bought the system, and Audubon worked out
tax credit.
Moody's and took the tax credits and did the system for them up there in Falmouth. So yeah, this is a very, very common way of financing.
And there are people in the area who would know how to do that. So
oh yes, indeed.
Yeah, good.
Also the Cumberland Church.
Ah,
Yep.
Thanks.
Deanne again, wondering if the town might be involved because of requirements in the state's reaction to climate change. I'm not phrasing this with detail, but there might be some ways to set off carbon use costs or something in the future. Sorry, I'm not more familiar with the state's plan, but I'm just wondering if the town of Gorham might be a resource for us.
Perhaps, although I kind of doubt it with the separation of church and state and the issues we had with the clock a few years ago. I can't imagine, they are obviously involved as far as code requirements and stuff. And in fact, Gorham has some rather unique requirements as to how many panels you can put on a roof to allow for firefighter access and stuff, safety for the firefighters. So, but as far as that goes, I guess I would defer that to the pros at Revision or the other places we were, and they know the ins and outs of what's available, and they have not mentioned anything about that. So
Thanks, Deanne. Thanks, John. Bill, would you like to talk about some fundraising?
You can come up and use this mic if you'd like, or do you want the handheld? Okay, coming your way.
Yeah, well, Bill, why don't you come up here so we can get you on camera? Well, how's that? That's the problem with.
Well, I think it's clear that any large project like this, there's no one way to raise the money for it. It's going to have to be a cooperative effort and using several different ways of raising the money. And we've talked a little bit about, having the tax credits, how to have that be part of it. Obviously, we're going to have to give some money to make this happen. So the regular traditional fundraising, coming to members of the congregation and appealing for donations to make this happen will be part of the funding package. As I said in my report, though, we recognize, the Finance Board recognizes that traditional fundraising is not going to by itself get us where we want to be as a church. And it won't by itself get us by this whole solar panel and heat pump and LED lighting project. So it's all part of a package. So with the traditional fundraising part, as I said, we'll be coming to you, to all of us as members of the congregation, giving you the opportunity to help with the cost of this. I spoke about this in the informational meeting a couple of weeks ago. There are lots of ways to do that. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is completely separate from our annual stewardship drive, which we have to keep active and keep that growing as well. But this will be a special fundraising program for this project. It's kind of like a mini capital drive. And we'll ask for, people can make a memorial donation to cover the cost of one of the heat pumps, or the cost of the heat pump for the office space, that kind of thing, in memory of somebody. So lots of different ways to look at this, and we're trying to look at all the ways possible. And we don't have yet a clear grasp of what portion we can expect to raise from any one method, but we will be trying to keep you very well apprised of how this is all looking. And we certainly will have a congregational meeting to approve whatever methods we come to pay for this. So rest assured, we're not just going off spending money we don't have. We will have the money in place before we spend it, and then we'll ask for you to approve it, the expense. So we want to make sure we're doing this responsibly. Yeah. Pardon?
Carla's, sorry, Donna's asking, is there a window of time that we're expecting? Like, what's our timeline on?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I can give you one. I think the sooner the better, because obviously the estimates that we were given for the cost were a couple of months ago, and every few months we can expect those expenses to rise. So the sooner we can do this, the better. Certainly in the next few months, we want to have a much clearer picture of how we're going to do it. And we'll be coming to you for the fundraising part fairly soon.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to be a part of that, because that's not going to just be the finance committee doing that, that's going to be another group doing that with input from finance, of course, too, but we'll need to put together a group to really look at that. So if you'd like to be a part of that, please let Bill or I know.
Actually, some of this is some of the things we're considering are unique and very interesting and very exciting. As we get a better grasp of how that can work, we'll be coming to you to share that information with you too. So I think different aspects of the fundraising will appeal to different people in the church. So hopefully we can get you all involved somehow. Anything else? Any other questions at this point?
Holler if we don't see you for some reason, because we've got a couple pages up here. I don't see any hands.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Well, that was a lot. Thank you guys for, and thanks to the trustees and John for leading that team in figuring out how we could present this to you all. And thank you for continuing along this journey with us. So I think I'm going to ask one more time. Any more questions about the budget or climate proposal? All right, hearing none and seeing no hands. I think we're ready for the budget vote. So the motion on the table is to approve the FY22 budget as printed on page 18 in your annual report. This also allows for an up to 5% withdrawal over the next fiscal year from the funds at Charles Schwab. Is there a second? Bill? So I can't find my Linda. So it was Bill Jenks that seconded. Any discussion? Oh. I made the motion. I don't know if I'm allowed. I'm not allowed as moderator. Oh, for crying out loud. Anybody. So yeah. I know your last name is Gray, and of course Dave made the motion. Bill. No, she's probably asking me to.
No,
no,
she'll second it. Okay. All right.
But I just want to clarify for Linda, Dave Gray made the motion as I stated. Bill second. Any discussion before we move? Okay. All in favor?
You're going to need to keep your hands up, please, because we've got 2/3 in-house. Let's see. Okay. Online, we're going to need to have you stay up. Yep. If you don't have your camera on, I'll need to have you put your camera on to see you. Yes. Yeah, we are over 2/3. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you all. You can put your hands down.
The motion passes, Linda. Okay. we're going to just switch the next two items and start with a thank you for those who are ending their terms with us on boards and committees.
I just want to read the names of those. Sorry, I didn't put this up. Hang on myself. Two thank yous. First to Bruce Webb for, yeah, it's hooked now. It's the way it goes. For doing so much work on getting those chargers, getting a grant, getting them in, working with the contractors and everything. I'm hoping it's not what gave you your medical issues. I'm really hoping, Bruce. I finished them off. They're up and running. It's cute. On Monday, one of the homeschool come and they plug in every day, and we just see a variety of cars plug in. We're hoping as electric cars become more prevalent and the town actually puts up the signage that they said they would put up, that we'll have even more traffic there, because that's how they pay for themselves too. We found out there's a rather substantial bill for the software to run those puppies. So we're good for another year. So we'll see how that, but thank you, Bruce, for that. And also I realized the staff person who I rarely see, I only see on email now, is Stacy Sallin, and the bookkeeper who keeps all the ins and outs of the money that we have correctly. And thank you to Stacy. So those, I just want to let you know who's leaving committees. Hal and Misty D'Amico. Hal was leaving Deacons, Misty leaving Faith Exploration. Alan Beagle has been vice moderator forever. And we're so thankful for all the work that he's done. And he feels like his term or sentence or something like that is finished now. But thank you so much. And to Barbara Guimon, who's going to take that on. Though we understand you don't have a law degree, Barbara, but we're just not going to hold that against you. So thanks. She knows people, so it's okay. Christine Southard, who has done just this incredible job as treasurer and presenting budget and everything like that, would like to not do it in subsequent years now. Our biggest problem right now is nobody stepped forward to do that. And we really do need someone, as we thank her for the wonderful job that you have done, Christine, and how we've been able to just, check in with you, and you are a good clarifying voice. That's wonderful. And what the job consists of is reviewing the work of the bookkeeper in the monthly reports, presenting those to the exec council, letting us know if there's anything hinky or anything we need to watch and where the trends are going. And then working with me and the heads of committees to put together the budget for the coming year. So you can talk to Christine about this if you have any interest at all in that. We really do need someone to be that check, and it can't be staff, and it can't be the bookkeeper, so that we keep everything. But thank you, Christine, for just your wonderful work in that. Marge and Brian Hodgkins have been on a variety of committees, and they're leaving theirs now. Pete and Mariana, thank you for your work also too. Hannah, who was on outreach, her job got big again. Amanda Powell has been on Faith Exploration for a number of years. Phil Calic was on trustees and helped us with a lot of things. And Vic has been on a lot of things and is not on anything this year. So thanks to Vic too, for being a part of that. So thank you all for the work that you have done. And don't worry, we'll give you a year off, but we'll come back. So
So that leads me to why you're hearing from the executive council around nominations. So a huge thank you to Kim Megason for her time on nominations committee, as well as Linda Fates and Terry Chamberlain. So we did our very best this year to tap you and talk with you, and thank you for those who have stepped up again and continue to step up. I just wanted to draw your attention to the slate on page 29. And just remind you, I'm going to quickly go through how many kind of openings that we have, should you be interested. So the Board of Deacons has 5 openings. 2 of the openings are for high school students. So we'll look to those in the future. Board of Missions has 3 openings. Trustees has 4 openings. Faith Exploration is full. Board of Community Outreach, 2 openings. Board of Finance is full. And just a note where it says TBD ad hoc, that's really the treasurer and the financial secretary who fill those ad hoc roles. And again, just to reiterate what Christine said, if you are interested in being the treasurer, that's our greatest need right now, is to fill that role. So if you want to talk to Christine Southard, myself, or Christine Dyke, that would be fantastic. So without further ado, I believe I need a motion to elect the new slate of candidates. That was Donna. Linda? Jason Shooker, second, and all in favor?
Online hands up. Thanks.
Unanimous in.
I think we're good. Beautiful.
I
Thank
tried,
you
guys.
all.
I tried.
Okay.
All right. So
Thank you.
Christine, you're up on the installation of our new church leaders.
Yes. Okay.
So this can be a hybrid. You can stay seated and on Zoom. I think typically we've all come up together.
Yes, we usually can, and now we're not allowed. So, so feel better. I was pulling it off my ear too. So if those who are on committees, whether you're new or you're returning, wherever you are, at home or here in Sanctuary, would you please stand? And now I get to see on Zoom all your tummies. So that's really good. I didn't think through that one, but that's all right. But just look around, look at the screens. If you're at home, look here around and on the screens if you're here, to see the number of people that it takes and that are willing to give time and energy and their immense creativity to get this work done that we call the work that God has called us to. So let's pray. Gracious God, in this time of COVID, laying out of hands gets laid aside. But your spirit is given to each of us. And we ask especially at this time that the people who we've asked to lead us and guide us, that they know your spirit present with them in all the work that they do. God, we have the most wonderful job of being your love in this world and at this particular place and time. Be with all those who have said yes, and those too who are thinking about it, and those that have said yes for so many years and have brought us to this place. God, may we be your people of love in this time and place, and may we be your spirit in this world. All this we ask in your name. And the congregation says, amen. Thank you, and you may be seated.
So before we adjourn, one just detail. So for those who are new to committees, we want to ensure that you have the month of February to gather. And then starting in March, whomever is elected at your February meeting to chair your committee, they will begin attending Executive Council, which typically is on the second Thursday of the month via Zoom or in person. We offer hybrid at 6:30, and we can certainly flex that if needed to make sure folks are able to attend. So I think
John, do you have a question? Go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, I don't think we officially accepted the reports from last year.
Oh, did we not vote on that?
Oh, I didn't think we voted on reports, but we
Okay.
certainly can.
Oh, I thought we had in past year. It certainly doesn't matter to me, but just in case.
Sure, you get to move it. Go ahead and move it, John.
I move that we accept the reports for 2021 as presented.
Okay.
Bill, everybody second. Bill Jenks second and Linda. And I'm just going to say
And
all
Karen?
in favor.
Yep, hands up. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep,
guys.
thanks all.
Okay, and then the best part of the meeting, do I have a motion to adjourn? Dave Gray, motion. Second, Ally.
Ally needs
All in
lunch.
favor.
Yay.
And before you depart, we have a benediction.
We do,
but-
we send a blessing, but thank you all for your discussion and questions on this too. It's such an important thing, this climate. And was telling a friend about it and they said, oh, is that gonna be a meeting? And I'm like, you know what? I don't think so. Not one of those kind of meetings. I said, because folks are on board with this. They know that this is what we're called to do, is to care about creation. So thank you for making that all online and everywhere possible. So go now. Go knowing we are God's people together. And as we go to do the work we are given, the work we don't even know is going to be handed to us yet, the work that is brewing in our spirits. May God's peace be with us now and always. Amen.
Thank
Thank you all.